Oh, that kind of bothers me. Anyway, what's up, guys? We are live. Everybody hear me all right? Let me know if you hear me. We got 9 people in the room. What's up? We got, all right, sounds good. Helio Gracie, the title, BJJ. Actually, I gotta go back and read the title. What is the title again? BJJ for smaller guys. It's not designed. I want to do this justice. BJJ is not designed for small people. No martial art is. So, all right, guys, that's what Icy Mike says, and I gotta tell you guys, it was an awesome video. Oh, with him impersonating Chewy from Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, it was so funny. He did a really good job with impersonating Chewy. I mean, like the toupee, the little hairpiece, and the teeth. But it just the way he spoke. Mike did a great job. It was hilarious. I'm sure you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure that Chewy enjoyed it. So anyway, so here's what I got to start out with. Okay. Obviously, like Icy Mike thought that video through very well. I feel like, and he started out just right. He said that a lot of you guys are going to be like, you're struggling with what he's saying, but he wasn't arguing that jiu-jitsu doesn't work for small people. That's not what he said. What he said is it's not designed for small people, and he's totally right that no martial art is designed for small people. It doesn't make any sense. The whole, it's like what is the color of jealousy? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There is no color for jealousy. It's totally different. So, it's not designed. Martial arts are not designed. That's not what they are. So in some ways, I agree with him wholeheartedly, but in another way, it's kind of stupid. Like, but again, he also mentions that, and he says it's not for you. So he really did think it through. I feel like it was a great video, and he's really trying to do good things with the video. He's not trying. I mean, maybe he's trying to be provocative to get people to click, which helps him with views. But at the same time, he's right. I mean, like I love the refreshing reality of Icy Mike. So I really do appreciate that. There were a few things that I disagreed with, but it was not the overall premise of this video. There's some things that I will talk about tonight that I want to get to, but before I answer any of your questions. So guys, if you can, I'm just going to kind of ramble for a while. I got some things on my mind. So again, martial arts are not designed. He is right that generally speaking, it's better to be bigger if all else is equal. But remember, that's all else is equal. So if you're fighting yourself, and even that's not the most perfect one. It's an impossible experiment, but even that's not exact, because but what we're trying to say is everything's equal. It's generally good to have the strength and the weight. There could be that one minute moment where the bigger guy makes a mistake. And again, I'm assuming this hypothetical, you're fighting, literally yourself, to make everything the same. But anyway, he's right about all that. He's right. It's true in boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. If you think about it, the bigger guy will generally always win. I mean, like, but one thing about jujitsu is that jujitsu actually tests it out quite a bit more than just about any other martial art. Jujitsu tests it out. I mean, when's the last time you guys watched a world champion like Floyd Mayweather or Lomachenko take on an Anthony Joshua or a Tyson Fury? Have you ever seen that before? You know, when's the last time you ever seen that? Like, I haven't seen that. When are we going to see Manny Pacquiao take on Mike Tyson? Like, can we see that? No, we're not going to see that. What about wrestling? You know, are you going to see in a live match? Are you going to see, you know, a lightweight like back in the day, John Smith, 6-time world champ? Is, you know, there's video footage of him play like flow wrestling with Dave Schultz, but you don't see him wrestling Bruce Baumgartner. You don't see, you know, our Olympic heavyweight versus our Olympic 132 pounder. So, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get to see that, but you get to see it in jiu-jitsu actually quite often. They have open divisions, and obviously jiu-jitsu allows, you know, for that in tournaments. I mean, even wrestling, we don't really see it. We see it in the practice room, but we don't really see it in an actual live match, like we do. You know, Abu Dhabi just last year, you got to see Lachlan Giles take on, you know, how many heavyweights did he submit? Now, the argument would then be, you know, well, you've got, you know, Lachlan Giles is that much better than, let's say, Muhammad Ali. And I'm not speaking of the boxer that's passed away, one of the greatest of all time. I'm talking about Muhammad Ali, the jiu-jitsu guy, the guy heel hooked. Although when Gordon Ryan took on Lachlan, Gordon was able to take his back and choke him. And so people can argue that, you know, there's levels to the game, and it required Lachlan, and Icy Mike talked about that he would need to be better. If you're smaller, you need to be better. You need to be that much better to make it all work. So it all works out. I mean, like, what he said is correct, but I'm going to talk about a few things that he didn't talk about that I will add. And it's actually not true what he said to some degree, because bigger is not always better. Bigger has diminishing returns when you get too big. And he didn't address that, so I'm going to quickly mention that. There is a point where bigger is not better, and it's different. It's not a specific weight. It's different for everybody. There's guys who are 200 pounds, and they're not better at 200. They're better at 185. And you know, you get diminishing returns as you pack on weight. It is not better. It's very easy to talk about how there are guys that, let's say a heavyweight that's 235. That's still a big man, you know, looking amazing. If you take a guy who's 235 and you put him up against a guy who's 280, depending on how that guy 280 is built, it's, you know, and again, that would go back to the argument, if all things are equal. But no, you will get diminishing returns. You cannot do that. That's like saying, let's make a cow. Why don't we just make a 10,000 pound cow? You know, it's better to make a bigger cow, and then we'll have more meat, right? You know, you can't just keep increasing size. It does not, the physics of the universe does not allow for increasing of size. That's not how things work. In my little kid mind, when I was a kid, I used to think that way. Like, what if you just, you know, you would just enlarge and you keep getting bigger and it gets better and better, but it's not actually true. And you know, I'm glancing over, I see Red Chuck's mentioning more muscle, more energy consumption. You know, you've got those issues, and where is that? I mean, we don't know. Like, I honestly, Brock Lesnar, I think, is too big. I think Brock Lesnar would not make the best heavyweight. I mean, granted, he looked amazing when he's mauling Frank Mir, but, you know, and again, we're talking about they're different skill levels. But the point is, yeah, sometimes he looks great, but, you know, I would personally rather, if I was Brock Lesnar, if Brock Lesnar was going to fight Brock Lesnar, I don't think that a 320 pound Brock Lesnar would be as good as a 260 pound Brock Lesnar. I think there is a point where it doesn't work. So having said that, that's a small thing. That doesn't really, negate what Icy Mike was talking about. It's just something I would add to the conversation. The one thing that I would like to mention is he said, I watched the video once and I laughed and I commented, and then a few of you guys that saw that commented back, and so then I actually listened to it on my drive home tonight. So I listened to it on my drive home just so I could kind of get what he said, and the second time actually watching the video or hearing the video, I actually heard more. The first time I was just laughing at the jokes with Chewy, but the second time I got to hear more of what Mike was talking about, and I really I liked a lot what he said, but he said a couple things that I disagreed with. And one of them, the main one that I'm thinking of right now, is he said that BJJ could be actually one of the worst things for a smaller, weaker individual. And that's when I went, record scratch. What? Worst? One of the worst? Worst? And then he mentioned that he would gladly give up 50 pounds in kickboxing or striking, whatever. Muay Thai for you Muay Thai guys, whatever, striking. He'd gladly give up 50 pounds, but giving up 20 pounds in grappling, it's too much strength. You're going to lose because the guy's too strong and all that. That's when I went, what? Mike, no, you shouldn't. You should have just stayed on your talk about martial arts aren't designed for small people, which he's right about. That's when I was like, nope, sorry. So I'm gonna fully disagree. Let me lay down the law here. So for Icy Mike to say, I guess I'm talking shit. Sorry, Icy Mike, you're wrong. But for him to say that he would gladly give up 50 pounds, you ain't gladly giving up 50 pounds, Mike. Quit talking shit. You ain't glad. You aren't on that level. I don't know what he's thinking. I've seen him fight. He's not on that level. You can't gladly give up 50 pounds in kickboxing. You can gladly give up 50 pounds if you're kickboxing with a guy who doesn't know shit. But you're not gladly giving up 50 pounds to anybody who's good. My buddy Majid that I have on my channel, if I put Majid with Icy Mike, it would be just an incredible sight to see, to behold, because there is such a different level between the two. And I know that I'm talking shit, but I'm just being honest, because what else? That's who I am. Just like Icy Mike's honest and he pisses people off, I guess I'm talking shit too. So, so he said that, which, all right, I'll get off the whole, he's not good enough to beat people that are 50 pounds bigger than him that are on his level. That's not going to happen. If Icy Mike fought a 50 pound bigger Icy Mike, he would get destroyed by the bigger one. He should have said that. Maybe he did say that. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm misinterpreting what he said. But he compared it to jiu-jitsu or grappling, and then said if he gave up 20 pounds, that would be it's really hard, or this idea. This is a striking mistake in the mind, guys. Remember, I have striking experience too. I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I have striking experience. Giving up 50 pounds in striking and thinking, well, I could just stay away. I don't deal with the strength. I'm quick. I move and I don't let the big guy put pressure on me. That's all bullshit. It depends. Okay, first let's talk about, are there barriers? So if you can run away and avoid strikes for a long time, striking, well, there's no barriers. So are you not in a ring? Are you out in a football field? Well, guess what? If you're grappling, you can do the same thing. You can run. In fact, it's easier. It's even easier to avoid grappling than it is to avoid striking. And I don't know why this is misunderstood. Just picture it now in a cage. Let's say UFC size octagon. It's actually easier to avoid grappling than it is to avoid striking. Think about it. A good striker knows how to pivot and move laterally and run away. Sure, it's hard to hit them when they run away. But if a grappler just wants to avoid, it's even easier because even when a bigger guy tries to get a hold of me, like I just don't engage. I just run. It's really easy. So the argument of running away is not a good argument, whether you're in a cage or a ring or not in a cage or a ring. And then the thought of most strikers is, well, I don't have the weight on me. That's what they feel. They go, I'm not going to get tired, or I'm not going to have a big guy get strong on me. Again, if a big guy throws a powerful kick, you got to absorb all of that energy. If he throws punches hard, if you can't just say, well, yeah, I just get out of the way of everything. Jiu-jitsu guys can say the same. So all the same arguments work for jiu-jitsu as well. When a big guy comes with a lot of his weight, I avoid it. Now, I agree with Icy Mike. If a guy's bigger, it's still going to be really challenging. It's going to be very hard, but it's not different. He almost argued that jiu-jitsu was worse. Like it's better. So are you telling me if I take a 125-pound man or woman and I'm going to train them to defend themselves or fight, whatever, that what should I teach them then? Striking, kickboxing, karate, Muay Thai? I'm going to actually argue, no. It's actually easier to teach them, well, again, jiu-jitsu, but the way I do it, which is I combine with wrestling. Remember, I get to do that. I have that luxury. And people go, no, you can't combine two arts. No, that's bullshit. That's like saying, well, you can't use Muay Thai then because Muay Thai is using kicking and punching. That's like taking boxing and moving it with kicking. Like, no, the way I do grappling, I have good takedowns with good jiu-jitsu, and guess what? Striking too. The style of jiu-jitsu I learned when I was coming up had striking in it. Whatever. People can argue that it doesn't have striking. That's modern day jiu-jitsu schools. I agree. But the thing is when I was training in the 90s, we were learning striking to get in clinches, to go for takedowns. It's not all just laying on your back and getting fucking mauled. So, there's that. Now, if you're not really good at jiu-jitsu, Mike, then I get it. You struggled. Oh, we got Mike on here. So I've got a key point you're probably missing. Okay, key point. What I actually said was worse about BJJ for smaller people was that the training of BJJ is harder on small. Yeah, I understood that. Good point. No. So let me say that. So what Mike also was saying was that the training is going to be hard. And I would like to actually talk about one of the reasons why he's right. And one of the reasons why is because fucking jiu-jitsu works. It's a science-based martial art. They actually spar. You go to a lot of kickboxing gyms, dude, they don't even spar. They teach you how to punch and kick. You do drills with partners. And then when you spar, it's super light. You're putting on gear. You're all shin guard and gloved up, mouthpiece, headgear. If you're, and if you're not wearing headgear, then you're not even fucking hitting each other hard. So it's glorified point karate. And so you're not really going at it. So in jiu-jitsu, like Mike said, you're going to get your ass beat a lot of times because they're going harder. Now, granted, it's not real. BJJ class, and he made reference that. I was laughing my ass off. BJJ class is not real. It's not. I mean, like it's grappling on mats, but at least they're not using gear, bare hands, bare feet, just what you got. And you're trying to choke the shit out of each other, and we're battle testing it a lot more. So when you do that, it makes it more real. So it's a harder time in some sense for a smaller person to learn. And he did, he totally mentioned this. He said, um, you know, you it's where you need to be, I think was the line he said. You need to be getting put through the ringer and learning and realizing that it's tough, because that's what's going to make you better, because you got to be able to get out from someone that's on top of you. You got to be able to know how to operate. Jiu-jitsu is a lot more than that as well, though. I don't like it when people like reduce jiu-jitsu to just, it's about getting up off the bottom or submitting someone from your back. I mean, again, my style of jiu-jitsu is literally like, it's the takedowns, it's the counter takedowns, it's the grappling on top, even as much as it is on the bottom. So it's not worse. It's definitely better, as proven. If you go to a amateur fight, like MMA event, obviously what people train matters. So if you go to an event and 90% of the guys on the card are kickboxers, you're going to see kickboxing fights. But the reality is this: grappling just works better than striking. It just does. Striking works great when you watch the UFC, but that's because everybody knows how to grapple. When grapplers fight strikers, grapplers typically win. When strikers know grappling and then they fight the grappler, then the strikers win. But it doesn't work the other way. And I'm not saying always. I've seen a million jiu-jitsu guys get knocked out. I've trained guys to knock out black belts in jiu-jitsu in fights. But and we've done it. But the thing is that on average, it's like when you go back in the UFC and you watch the early days, some people say, oh, those strikers weren't good. No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason they lost. The reason they lost is because they didn't know fucking jiu-jitsu or wrestling. That's why they lost. Now they do. So that's why you see a lot more striking. You also added gloves to the game. You added 5-minute rounds. You added referees standing the fight up. All of these things help the striker. It's just more often than not, grappling works better than striking. It just does. And anybody wants to argue with me, I'd love to argue. I still love striking. Like we teach it at our gym, but the thing is it doesn't hold up. Not that long ago, let me mention this quick story. One of our boys that watches the channel quite a bit, Ron. Ron is 60 years old. Ron fought in street beefs, and just a little while ago, 60-year-old man fought a 20-year-old, and they're both about the same size, roughly. He's 60 years old. Ron is trained in striking throughout his life and also some jiu-jitsu. Is he the greatest at either? No. But he went out, threw a nice front kick. The young 20-year-old, threw a right hand straight down the pipe. Boom, pop Ron right in the face. Another one, threw another front kick, another right hand. They ended up in a striking exchange. This is what it's like at low level MMA. It's like going back in time to early UFCs. The moment that Ron started grappling, the fight changes. It goes to the ground. Ron just mounts him. Simple fight, easy. It's not him fighting off his back. Granted, he's not a little guy fighting a big guy, but the point is this: pound for pound, I agree with Mike 100%. So it showed that striking, there's a gamble there. Now, the better you are at striking, it's not as much of a gamble. When Floyd Mayweather's boxing in his weight class, there's not that much of a gamble. He can see everything that anybody's going to be throwing at him. But the thing is most of us, when we fight, and we're striking, it's narrow little things happen. You can get clipped. Frankie Edgar knocked out one knee strike. Frankie Edgar can fight. I'm not saying he's an amazing striker, but he can fight. but it took one flying knee to knock out Frankie Edgar. Do you guys think that anybody could just like one flying submission? I mean, you could throw out, the only one I can think of is Ryan Hall. He could throw up a flying submission and catch you like that and catch just about anybody. So there's one. But the point is grappling gives an advantage of protecting yourself to a degree, where when you have enough training, you can actually stop someone from fucking hurting you. And this is what is good for little people. This is not at all countering the argument that Mike was making on his video, by the way. Has nothing to do with it. Mike was talking about it's not designed for small people. I keep repeating myself, but I want to make sure that you guys understand I'm not disagreeing with him on that. So I got Majid. What's up, Majid? So Majid's in here. Majid and Icy Mike need to get down together someday. So, but the thing is this is what grappling does. This is one of the biggest advantages. And some people do struggle. I mean, he's right. A lot of little guys, they're weak or weak. They struggle with jiu-jitsu, man. You get smashed. I'm going to say this. And now again, people can say that I'm a great athlete or something like that. I really don't think I am. But people say, well, you're just good. Whatever. People will say that. I wrestled 3 years in high school, guys. 3 years. That's it. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was 132 pounds. At 132 pounds, I was smashing everyone. 200-pound dudes in my first month, smashing them. Now, the argument then is going to be, well, I wasn't a part of a BJJ school that had a bunch of black belts. See, like nowadays, there's a full, like, there's blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, black belts at schools. Back then, I mean, you barely even met a purple belt. You know what I mean? They didn't exist much. But again, you could just say I was good, and I'm sure strikers, they have the same experiences. There's occasionally a really good striker, you know, he's like 132 pounds and he's able to pitter pat and tap and knock out some big dudes. It happens. So am I really that guy? People who knew me back then, they know what I'm talking about. I was just an average dude. I was average. But I think it's also in defense of Mike, what he's saying. I'm arguing with him, but I'm also now going to push back and defend. I get what he's saying, but I think it's also the way that jiu-jitsu is taught. I think a lot of places, this is one of the issues, is they teach jiu-jitsu so terribly. Like jiu-jitsu is just rolling. It's like, here's a couple moves, now go out and spar. And then they just roll and they get fucking crushed, like Mike was saying. And that's wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, that wasn't my experience. My experience, my memories are like a lot of technique. So I guess it was more like striking, right? Like I was learning technique. I was learning the technique of the grappling. And then we would spar, but like because I had the technique, I didn't struggle that much. It worked. Like all of it worked. And so I really didn't share that experience that a lot of people do experience. A lot of people do experience what Mike said. They get fucking smashed and it sucks. But, you know, and then I know I just saw somebody say wrestling, you know, wrestling really helped. But you know what? And I got smashed in wrestling too. But, you know, that's martial arts, by the way. So now I'm getting away from Mike's argument. I'm really just talking more about like martial arts in general and grappling in general. Like, guys, if you train, that's the beauty of martial arts, man. It gives you the advantage, the leg up on people. Once you reach a certain technical expertise level, like in jiu-jitsu, I mean, a blue belt, I don't know about, I can only speak for my school. I don't like to talk about other blue belts because I've met other blue belts from other schools and I feel like they're not even like a blue belt. But blue belts at my school, I feel, are pretty well ready for the average Joe on the street. Like my blue belts are going to be absolutely fine. They're going to be able to to be okay with them, but you get a college football player and that's a different story. You might need to you might need a purple brown belt, something like that. But you know, I'm reading what Mike's saying. The problem is grappling is so effective that people can learn it even when it is not taught in any curriculum. I don't understand, Mikey. It's so effective that people can learn it even when it is not taught in any curriculum. I would can you clarify? So exactly, so I want to try to get what you're saying. But yeah, so okay, there it is. What you were saying about the way it is taught. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Um yeah, and it's always up to the individual. Uh Maja, do you mean striking? Motherfucker can't even write English. Stoking can be serious if trained well. You mean striking? A bunch of meatheads rolling will get good as fuck and smash people. Yeah, but no different than striking. I mean, like most guys that are meatheads, they're it depends on your level. Because meatheads to me, they don't know what they're doing. They smash the average dude, but they get tooled once you use technique. So it's the same in striking. That's the same in striking. I guess my pushback on you, Mike, is I didn't like that you said it was worse. That you compared, you would rather give up 50 pounds in striking. Maybe that's you, but I don't think that's true for most people. And I don't think that's true. So, and I don't think giving up 20 pounds, it's not even close. Like, I think at best we can call them even. But I still do. Mikey's a monster with the hands. So Majengo Boxing Club, any BJJ guy who shoots gets an elbow on his neck. That's why UFC has no falling elbows. Well, no, that's not. That's not the reason. I will tell that story if you guys want to know. Um, the story goes back to Gan McGee. If you guys don't know who Gan McGee is, he was a big time wrestler. He trained uh, over in San Luis Obispo in California. Um, Slow kickboxing, the pit. So Gan McGee actually fought. I think the fight was in New Jersey or New York, New Jersey, I believe. This is back in 2001 when they were getting the unified rules, and Gan McGee is like 6'6" or some shit. He's like huge, and he was striking a guy in the clinch with 12 to 6 elbows, and he crushed this dude. And then there was a traditional martial artist. The next day they were going over the rules, and the next day when they were doing it, there was a guy, traditional martial artist, who said something like, "I've seen guys break whatever multiple ice blocks with these elbows. They're devastating. You could kill someone." And so doctors that saw that fight the night before literally said, "Hell no, we're not having this." I'm sure you guys can like look up Big John McCarthy talks about the story because he was the one that was there. He was one of the um, how do I say, the framers in the unified rules back in 2001, and that was one of the biggest reasons they said we got to take that elbow out. Let alone whether there's many other elbows that are just as devastating, and you can do the same elbow from a different angle. So if you're on your back, I mean, like you can still throw that elbow. You just got to have a different angle. Guy could be on a single leg. You just bend over, throw the 12 to 6, but now it's going from 3 to 9, and it's all good. So it's kind of ridiculous, but it's definitely a devastating elbow. But yeah, that's not exactly just going back to Majengo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what did he say? He said something like, "That's why it's taken out." Anyway, I lost the place of where he said it. Trying to re-reference what he said so I can finish my thought because I'm already been hit in the head too many times. I forgot. Um. Anyway, that's the reason, and you know, it's the reality is, guys, if you take out if you just go martial art to martial art, jujitsu with some decent takedowns, it will win hands down against any other martial art for the most part. And people argue wrestling, but they forget that the wrestlers know jujitsu. So I personally would still um, like to have the 1990s jujitsu if I had to. And I'm not talking about today's, guys. I'm not talking about what a typical blue belt learns today, typical purple belt of today's world. I'm talking about going back to the 90s and learning what the basically what the Brazilians brought over, what the Gracies brought over. We were, even though I'm obviously hoist looked kind of silly compared to today's striking, it may have not been super pretty, but it was very effective because people didn't know jujitsu. But the thing is what happens when jujitsu fights boxing? What happens? And if you guys don't know that experiment or the results of the experiment, you can reference hundreds of fights, and it's pretty obvious what happens. So what I'm trying to say is grappling's king, but striking's important. You can't neglect it whatsoever. So yeah, what is so Mike, you said he ain't talking about inverting leg lock, and yeah, exactly. You're right. See that? So guys, I'm not talking. Mike's right. He's the man. I'm not talking about spinning around on your back and trying to heel hook people. Although heel hooks are important and they're good to know, I'm not saying that that's what it's about. I'm talking about it's about knowing how to keep your hands up, throw some strikes, get in a clinch, take people down a lot like Mike's shown on his channel. Take people down, mount them, pass their guard, mount them, smother their defense, their strikes, so they can't hurt you, and then fight's over. Every fight starts standing. There's a chance to be knocked out by a guy with some wild punches, but the odds are, if you have some very basic skills, 1 year of good training, you can get in a clinch on 99% of the people out there, and you're going to be in a very safe position to take somebody down, mount them, control them, finish with some strikes in the mount, which is almost like cheating because now they can't strike you back with the same level. And then they're going to turn their back and you're going to rear naked choke them. That experiment has been run a million times. And that's the advantage that grappling and jiu-jitsu have. But that is not spinning around on your back and trying to spider guard somebody or trying to, get this crafty inverted De La Hiva and then spin into a leg lock or a back take from there. Although, Baron Bullet. But I still love that stuff, but that's not what we're talking about. Mike and I would, I'm sure, totally agree. It's you got to get it back to the basics and the simple stuff, and then and then it'll just get better, man. You guys will actually have effective jujitsu for fighting instead of just jujitsu for training on soft mats where you can tap a dude out. So yeah, Mike goes, who wants to see Brian and I training, make videos together? Yeah, that'd be cool. My knees are falling apart, Mike, as we speak. I've been struggling this last year seriously with both knees. So I'm like, I don't even train anymore, but I just teach. But I'm really hoping that I can see a doctor this year, and possibly I may have to get surgery again. I'm worried that I might need surgery on both knees, which would mean I might have to go through one and then heal and then go through the other. And I really don't want to go through that. I've already gone through full ACL reconstruction and 2 meniscus tears, and I am dreading finding out how bad my knees are because I can barely do anything right now. But yeah. Yeah, we'll go slow and then speed up the video. But I can still demonstrate technique. I demonstrate and I'm good, but it's the resistance. It's once I start getting the resistance going, that's why I can't squat. I can't squat with weight on my shoulders. I can barely even do a body weight squat safely right now. It is just trash. My knees are gone. Too many times screwing around with people and allowing my knees to get in bad positions and fighting and ego and all that bullshit. So anyway. Anyway, honestly, guys, I was like kind of joking earlier a little bit with Mike because he's joking too. I'm sure at some point he may try to impersonate me now after he got Chewy. So I don't know who's next, but I'm sure I'm on the chopping block. It'll be funny. But yeah, so I'd love to train with Mike someday, and I'd love him to meet Majid just to see what Majid's like. But you're on the short list, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, and there's no way I could ever like do impersonations like Mike. He's got that shit down. He's really good at it. And he's also, I would like to also mention this, guys. If for anybody that saw Mike's video, because I got a lot of people that love grappling watching my channel, and you guys probably got, freaked out when you're hearing what he's saying. You really should watch his video again and listen to what he's saying. And what he's saying is correct. It's not design. Martial arts, that's just not what it is. Fighting's fighting. There's no design. It's just physics. It's what works. It doesn't even make sense to say that a martial art is designed for smaller people. It just it doesn't even make sense to my brain when I hear that. So I cringe when people say that, but I don't do that. So I don't do that at all. I just say let's teach you how to kick someone's ass, how to take somebody down, how to keep your balance, how to choke somebody out. Let's do that. So fighting's fighting. That's right. He's totally right. So anyway, that's it, guys. What else can I say? There's so many comments, so I'm not going to be able to answer too many more questions. Guys, it's already 11 over here. I know Icy Mike's out there, East Coast. So what is that like? That's going to be 2 a.m. Some of you guys are up here out here pretty late. I've got my trading to do. I got to work on the stock market in the morning. Market's going to open in a couple hours. So I'm going to have to get some sleep. Yeah, dude, Mike's the hardest working martial arts guy on YouTube. I have been slowing down with my work, my output. It's hard because I'm balancing, like I said, barbecue business, trading on the stock market, TeachMeGrappling, and then trying to run a gym, and it's just so much work. So yeah, teach me trading. AMC to the moon. Yeah, made some money on AMC, guys. Did some GameStop and some AMC. Teach me stonks. That'll be the title. Teach me stonks. I may end up doing that, guys, because I'm actually getting pretty successful, even though I would still be considered a noob by most guys that are very experienced in the market. I've only been doing it a little over a year, so I might be almost a blue belt, but I'm doing pretty well. So I definitely could teach a few things. GameStop was not allowed right now. No, well, it's complicated. A lot of people misunderstand and they think that GameStop was like they didn't allow you so that the hedge funds could get out of their positions with Robinhood and a few other brokerages, but it actually had a lot more to do with liquidity. Obviously I can't prove that I know exactly the reason, but has much to do with liquidity, and there's a clearinghouse. They have, they have to put up money. They have to put up money when you guys trade, and the that Thursday of GameStop was just absolutely insane. So much volatility that it literally crashed. It crashed, my app. It crashed. I'm not on Robinhood, but I'm on Webull, but it crashed a lot of different apps, and it was so bad that they had to shut it down. They just, you know, Robinhood is like it's like a brokerage that's like it's a moped and trying to act like a Ferrari, and it's just not a Ferrari. It's a moped. So Wall Street is not designed for small people. No, it's not. You get crushed if you don't know what you're doing. All right, I'll let that go. But so what is this? Dave L with the super chat. I don't like Red Hat's chances now that they've upstreamed Cent OS. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means, Dave. But so what's up, Majid? You're up. So we got guys. I'm fizzling out. What am I gonna do? What do you guys want? What do you want me to talk about? Majid, does your hair help you in striking? Some people will argue my martial arts instructor when I started, he would argue that long hair was actually a sign that you weren't a serious martial artist because long hair can be such a disadvantage. And I think I told Maja that already, but he likes his flowy hair. But there's always the famous fight of Eric Paulson getting his head pinned down with the hair, with the ponytail. So that's something that my coach always talked about. That if you're a hardcore martial artist, you had to have a short hair so you didn't give your opponent that advantage of being able to just pin you down and then beat you silly. So anyway, when is the next Phantom Escape video? Oh, I got to do that, Martin. So I got to do another Phantom video. I kind of like dropped the ball, didn't I? I talked about doing it in the future. I got to combine it with a ghost, and there's a lot more to it. And I got to do more ghost videos too. There's so much I got to do. I still owe everybody a damn buggy choke video, which I'd love to do, but now my knees are. When I was first doing it, I actually had one healthy knee, and now I have two unhealthy knees, so I can't even demonstrate the buggy choke very well. I can kind of show it, like fake it, but I can't actually do it to choke somebody out because it tears up the knees when you get older. So how do you make a wrestler avoid a flying knee basically 100% of the time? Common. You know what? That's tough because when Sandhagen threw that knee with Frankie Edgar, you know, Frankie Edgar, he drew him in. I think Maja and I were going to drop a video pretty soon on that. He drew in Frankie Edgar, and the way he drew him towards him and sidestepped, it totally set it up, and Edgar came just right into it. And I really think Edgar was going to look for an overhand right. He was trying to overhand right the taller fighter, but turned out to be just a horrible decision. And he ducked his head. He's short. He's a wrestler. Flying knees work against wrestlers, guys. If you want to knock out a wrestler, flying knee. It works because wrestlers have a like a something inside of us, which, guys, I don't have completely. I have a little bit of it, but I beat a lot of it out of me through my training. And it's most wrestlers, when they see you, it's like the Masvidal Ben Askren situation. They just want to go in for the takedown when you run at them. And so when you jump forward or charge forward and flying knee, it tends to make wrestlers level change. It's just a part of their wrestling training. And so it's really tough for most wrestlers. That's why you need training and martial arts training, because you need to understand that in a fight, you don't just duck down and shoot. You need to be able to keep a good stance, somewhat of some posture, as opposed to the wrestling stance, which is bent over. And you can be low, but you can't be like a wrestler, like leaning over. You're going to eat stuff. And you have to set stuff up. You have to use your jab. You have to, feint first. You have to make sure that your opponent can't just lead in with a simple charging, jumping, flying knee. And, anyway. Yeah. Yeah. You said that they were doing this for years and years and it always worked. I don't know what you mean, Mike. I don't even know if you're talking to me. That reaction was rewarded their whole lives and now suddenly it's a bad idea. Yeah, totally. So, that reaction was rewarded. That's perfectly stated. It's their muscle memory. And, it's a hard reaction. Again, I have the reaction. It's inside of me. I still have memories of using that reaction. But the key truly is to set someone up. You gotta feint them first. You have to make sure that you're not, just rushing in. And that's why Majid and I, we don't want, or we don't what's the word, prescribe you guys to ever just go out there and just rush into fights, into the thing. Don't just go out there and big overhand right, or go out there and just shoot for a takedown. Again, there's fights where that's worked. We've seen Chael Sonnen use it against Anderson Silva, just go out there and just put his head right in the middle of his chest and take him down and, almost win that fight. But yeah. So yeah, I get you, Mike. Um, so anyway, that's one of the problems with wrestling. Again, I love wrestling, guys. I'm a wrestler. I still coach wrestling. Like, I do it all the time. I always piss off the wrestlers. It's hilarious. The wrestlers get butt hurt when I say that wrestling's either like jujitsu's better, or I'll say jujitsu's good here, and everybody will go, yeah, but a bunch of wrestlers won UFC titles. I'm like, yeah, but they won UFC titles with a lot of jujitsu training and a lot of striking training to go with it. So back in the day, little ass Royce Gracie was triangle choking big ass Dan Severn, you know. So um, it's really changed a lot over the years. So a lot of people are well trained. Um, again, you guys, everybody can witness the UFC and see what people are doing, and you can see what works and you can work on it now. Back in the day, people were in the 90s, they were still trying to figure out, does this kung fu shit actually work? Does it fucking work? No, it's not working. What's going on? And you know, those days are kind of gone, but what's funny is those guys still exist. So, and I'm not saying that all kung fu guys can't fight. I'm sure there's some that actually spar that are pretty damn good, but it starts to look a lot more like what we do in MMA or kickboxing than what they did traditionally, at least. And I'm sure, but if you go back in time far enough, I'm sure you could get to a kung fu guy that was a pretty damn good fighter. So, no, I don't have kids. We're his kids, Jason. We're his kids. Yeah, I'm getting old. How did your knees got hurt? I hurt my knees. Well, a lot of different ways. I mean, it's from buildup. Like, guys, like, I've been training 27 years now, and like, consistently for 27 years. And when you're doing shit, you're gonna get caught in heel hooks. You're gonna end up in a leg ride where you put a leg in on someone like a hook. And then I once had a black belt friend of mine named Timmy Bond. This is like back in 2001. I still have a memory. We were rolling. He's big. He's like 190. I was like 140, and I got like on his back with one hook, and then I went for a calf lock. I turned and rotated towards his feet, and he hit a sharp forward roll like somersault, and his legs were too powerful, and it sent my foot to my face, my own foot to my face, and it just cracked my knee bad. I was hurt bad, and that was right before a fight, a couple weeks before a fight. But that damage probably is still there. That's probably why I have damage. But I was wrestling with one of our, even a really good eighth grader. He's like 170-pound eighth grader, like pretty high level wrestler though for an eighth grader. And I'm wrestling with him, doing great, and showing him I can kick his ass. And then all of a sudden I make a rotation, just a twist, and my knee just pulls apart, and I felt it move sideways, like in and out, and I knew I damaged it. And I can do basic stuff. I can walk around, but it's not right. There's something wrong. It's hurting all the time. I don't have stability. I can demonstrate technique, but the moment that I get any kind of resistance, it's over. Like somebody pulling on my leg in any way, and I resist, my leg's not useful for that. So right now I can just do basic stuff. Then I also went with some gang member dude, some homie from the hood, came in, and I had to scrap with him about a couple months ago, and doing that, and I was looking out for him because I choked him out a few times, trying to teach him a lesson, and and then we're kind of going at it. He starts going real hard, and I tried to not hurt him, and because I let my guard down, I was trying to not kill him with a sprawl because I was worried that he didn't know how to post right. I figured he was going to break his arm or something. And I let my guard down. He grabbed my ankle and ripped as hard as he could. Like just did some spazzy shit. Sure enough, hurt my knee. But the knee was already damaged. So it was, and this was the other knee. So, but since then, that one feels better. But again, basic stuff I can do. But stability and resistance does not work. So sucks. So guys, listen. Icy Mike's correct. He's correct. I just had a few things I wanted to argue about, but overall he was 100% right. Martial arts are not designed for little, small, weak people. It's not. So, and generally speaking, it's always better to be bigger and stronger, but generally speaking, for the most part. But if you are small, guess what? You're going to need some wrestling, some jiu-jitsu, and some kickboxing. That's what you're going to need. And if you guys want to throw in another martial art like judo or something like that, you can throw that in too. But I always like to pick my favorite three: kickboxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. So anyway. All right, guys, I'm repeating myself over and over. There's no sense in keeping it going, but thank you guys so much. Yeah, Majid's talking about Benny the Jet. If you guys don't know Benny the Jet's a little dude, but he was a badass. But again, he's a badass little dude, so he could whoop a lot of big dudes. But how awesome would it be though, guys, to see striking like Majid. Think about this. Let's see the best, like Lomachenko versus Tyson Fury. What would happen? How would that go? Let's say 22-foot ring. 22. What would happen? Majid, Mike, if you're still there, what do you guys think? What would happen? How would the fight go? Boxing rules, Tyson Fury, Lomachenko. What happens? Majid goes, I don't like Tyson Fury style. It doesn't matter, Majid. It doesn't matter. He's a fucking heavyweight champ. Come on, man. What's going to happen? I would like Mike Tyson. Okay, Mike Tyson. All right, forget about Tyson Fury. At least we got a Tyson. Can Loma exhaust him? I don't know. Can he? So what if they fought? They're gonna go 12 3-minute rounds, and it's just to satisfy Majid. Let's say it's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's fighting Lomachenko. What's gonna happen? Styles make fights. Don't give me that shit. Come on, man. You think without grappling you can run and exhaust him? I don't think so. Because of the way his low base stance. Okay, I'll say what I think. Mike Tyson would fucking knock fucking Lomachenko into the fucking 2030. A prime Mike Tyson. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Prime Lomachenko, prime Mike Tyson. Mike is a heavyweight though. No, yeah, but that's what we're talking about. Okay, Majid says yes, yes. I mean, like, he wouldn't be able to escape. He can only, Mike, what do you think? How much can he run? Is he going to be, I mean, you don't think that Mike's going to be able to cut off the ring? Clinch with him here or there? Break out of the clinch a little bit? Throw some good shots? Position him, cut off the ring, put him up against the ropes? I missed it. I missed what you said. I think without grappling, you can just run and exhaust him. You really think that, Mike? Mike is definitely, he favors striking. He favors it. He must have had a bad grappling experience. Oh man. Obviously Mike's just better at striking, I think, than grappling. Oh, he's not talking. Majid, some guy long Majid get KO'd or subbed in Street Beast. I truly believe that. Yeah, well, you guys obviously don't know Majid. So I think Loma could exhaust Fury. I think he would get wrecked by Tyson. Okay. The thing is, you know, I don't think, I think you're underestimating Tyson Fury. Totally. Like, obviously Lomachenko is amazing. We're talking about one of the most amazing lightweights in all history. But Fury would try to box him. Tyson would not. Well, again, I think you're underestimating Fury. I don't I agree with you. I agree with you. Your statement. I mean, they're not the same level. They're not the same person, but obviously Lomachenko's a better boxer. But with that size differential, Tyson Fury would just corner him, and it would be just too much. So anyway, Mike Tyson versus Alexander Karelin. I don't like that pick because Alexander Karelin is he's a wrestler, and he doesn't. Again, I love wrestling, but unless you train Karelin, if you just take wrestler Karelin, it may not go too well with Tyson because Tyson just needs one shot, and that actually I don't like that fight for Karelin. But it's different when you go with a guy. If you take a Mike Tyson and you put him with a trained like fighter, like a jiu-jitsu guy that's trained, Mike Tyson versus Rickson Gracie or something like that. I really believe that back in the day, Mike Tyson in his prime, I think that Rickson would be able to clinch with him and at least control and stay close and be able to submit him because he wouldn't have any skills, but Tyson wouldn't have any grappling skills, obviously. But I know a lot of people think that Tyson could just hit him and it would be over. But the point is that Rickson was a trained fighter. His martial arts training prepares him for real fights, and that's something that I don't think uh, Tyson's boxing would. He's not as prepared for a real fight. Cejudo low singles him and teabags him to death. Oh, we're talking about a fight. I was talking about boxing, by the way. Mike Tyson versus Sanchai. Ooh, there's a lot that I'd love to. These are all like awesome little thought experiments. Tyson stays low. It will be hard to take him down. Majid, no, Majid, you don't understand. Tyson won't have takedown skills. He won't have it. It's just a totally different thing. You know, Majid, I'm gonna argue with you. You have skills because you've trained. Tyson won't have those skills. He could get low all he wants. He'll get taken down, even by Rickson Gracie, by somebody who's smaller than him. No, I don't think Mike Tyson's trying to fight MMA, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, the dude's old now. Can Khabib beat the worst UFC heavyweight? Yeah, that's possible. I don't know who the worst UFC heavyweight is, but I mean it's possible. What do I think of Mark Schultz double wrist lock arm break on the Turk, aka the Kimura? I think that it was illegal. I think that he broke the dude's arm. I mean, it's not legal in wrestling to do what he did, but I don't think Mark Schultz gave a shit at that moment. He broke his arm. Anyway, all right, guys, I got to get some rest because got to trade, got to make some money, got to keep the lights on and the bills paid at the gym while we're going through this freaking pandemic in California. So, you know, I got to do what I got to do. So, I love you guys. Mike, you're the man. And Majid, you're the man too. I hope that Mike can come out here, or maybe we'll come out there someday and we'll get together and try to train and do some videos. That would be really, really fun and really awesome. So, okay. All right, guys. I'm going to be out. You guys have a good night. Uh, it's not designed for little people. It's just not. So, but if you're little, you better fucking learn it. All right, guys. Have a good night, Mikey. We'll see you later, Majid. And to everybody else, I'll be back more next time with more great stuff. See ya.